My best friend's mom is super strong. Did you see her, Mom? Did you see Maria lift that whole stack of weights? It was like, whoosh, and they were up. She's, like, super strong. Billy punctuated each word with exaggerated arm gestures, nearly knocking over his glass of milk. Sarah chuckled, stirring her tea. Yes, honey, I saw. Maria is a personal trainer. It's her job to be strong. Though a little voice inside her whispered, stronger than you, in a decidedly judgy tone. But she's the strongest mom ever. Alex says she can even do pull-ups with him hanging off her legs. Can you do that, Mom? Sarah choked slightly on her tea. Well, no, sweetie. I haven't exactly been prioritizing pull-ups lately. Billy, oblivious to the subtle shift in her tone, continued his enthusiastic monologue. She says exercise is good for your brain too. Makes you smarter. Maybe you should ask her to train you, Mom. Then you could be super strong and super smart. The last part hung in the air, a playful barb that nonetheless stung. Sarah forced a smile. Maybe, honey. Maybe someday. Later, after Billy was tucked into bed, Sarah found herself standing in front of the full-length mirror in their bedroom. The soft light cast long shadows, highlighting every curve and imperfection she usually managed to ignore. She tugged at the fabric of her oversized t-shirt. It had been a gift from her sister, a "comfy clothes are the best clothes" kind of declaration. Tonight, it felt less like a comfort and more like a surrender. She turned sideways, pinching the small roll of fat above her jeans. Billy's words echoed in her head, super strong, super smart. She wasn't aiming for super anything, but maybe she could be a little stronger. A little healthier. Not just for Billy, but for herself. She remembered the way Maria had moved, with a fluid grace that belied her power. It wasn't just about lifting weights, it was about confidence, about owning her space. Sarah ran a hand through her hair, a sudden determination hardening her gaze. She wouldn't become a weightlifting champion overnight, but she could start somewhere. A walk in the park. A yoga class. Maybe, just maybe, she would ask Maria for advice. The thought, surprisingly, didn't fill her with dread. It felt hopeful. An awkward request. Mom, can Alex come over today? Billy asked, his voice a hopeful plea. Please. We can build a fort in the living room. Sarah glanced up from the novel she was pretending to read. Maria had just dropped Alex off, her radiant smile momentarily blinding. Maybe later, sweetie. We have a few things to do. Billy's lower lip jutted out. But. Before a full-blown tantrum could erupt, Sarah relented. Okay. Let me ask Maria. She internally groaned. This was her chance, the one she'd been nervously anticipating, but the timing felt utterly wrong. Taking a deep breath, Sarah walked towards Maria, who was meticulously adjusting the rearview mirror of her sporty convertible. Maria? Maria turned, her eyebrows raised in a questioning arc. Everything okay, Sarah? Did Alex forget his dinosaur collection again? No dinosaurs, Sarah chuckled weakly. Billy was wondering if Alex could come over for a bit. Build a fort, apparently. Maria beamed. That sounds adorable. Sure, I can pick him up around 5. Great. Sarah fiddled with the hem of her t-shirt, the cotton suddenly feeling rough against her skin. Actually, Maria, I was wondering. I know you're a personal trainer, and you're amazing, I mean, look at you, and I was thinking. The words tumbled out in a rush, a verbal avalanche of awkwardness. Maria's expression softened, a hint of amusement dancing in her eyes. Sarah, breathe. What were you thinking? I was wondering if you would ever consider training me. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for rejection. Silence hung in the air, thick and heavy. Sarah peeked through her lashes to see Maria's face, a mixture of surprise and something else she couldn't quite decipher. "Wow," Maria finally said, a genuine note of astonishment in her voice. I didn't realize you were interested." She paused, tapping a manicured nail against her chin. "I've never trained another mother from Billy's class before, I'll have to think about it, Sarah. It could be a conflict of interest." First session jitters. The doorbell chimed, making Sarah jump. Butterflies erupted in her stomach, a chaotic swarm mirroring the state of her living room. Toys lay scattered like fallen soldiers, a testament to a morning skirmish with Leo. She smoothed down her leggings, tugging at the hem of her oversized t-shirt. Not exactly athletic chic, but comfort trumped style today. Maria stood on the porch, radiating energy. Even in leggings and a simple tank top, she looked like she'd stepped out of a fitness magazine. Her smile was warm and genuine, instantly putting Sarah a little more at ease. "Hey Sarah. Ready to get moving?" Maria's voice was bright, a stark contrast to the nervousness churning within Sarah. "As I'll ever be," Sarah replied, attempting a casual tone that fell slightly flat. She ushered Maria inside, quickly diverting her attention from the disaster zone that was the living room. "So, where do we start?" Maria surveyed the space. "Right here is perfect. We'll keep it simple today, assess your current fitness level, and work on some basic movements." She pulled out a resistance band and a yoga mat from her bag. The bag seemed bottomless. The next hour was a symphony of awkwardness and exertion. Sarah struggled with the simplest squats, her knees creaking in protest. Lunges felt like a cruel joke, and the resistance band seemed determined to snap and take her eye out. Maria, however, remained relentlessly positive. "That's it, Sarah. You're doing great. Just focus on your form, keep your core engaged." Maria demonstrated each exercise with effortless grace, a vision of strength and control. Sarah, meanwhile, felt anything but graceful. She wobbled, she groaned, she laughed, a lot. "I think my core is currently engaged in trying to stop me from falling over," she gasped between lunges. Maria chuckled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "It's all about building that foundation. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a killer core." She adjusted Sarah's posture, gently guiding her into a more stable position. "See? Small adjustments make a big difference." As they stretched to cool down, Sarah felt a surprising sense of accomplishment. She was sore, definitely, but also, energized. And, surprisingly, she'd actually laughed. A genuine, belly-aching laugh, the kind she hadn't experienced in ages. "Thanks, Maria," Sarah said, stretching her hamstring. "I actually enjoyed that. In a slightly masochistic kind of way." Maria grinned. "That's the spirit. See you next week." "Definitely," Sarah replied, already anticipating the next session. Maybe, just maybe, this was exactly what she needed. Cool mom alert. Sarah hoisted the kettlebell, a surge of satisfaction flooding her as she completed the set. 3 weeks ago, the mere sight of the weight would have sent her into a spiral of self-doubt. Now, her muscles burned pleasantly, a testament to her progress. Maria, ever the cheerleader, clapped her hands. "See? I told you. You're a natural." Sarah laughed, wiping the sweat from her brow. "A natural at nearly dropping a kettlebell on my foot, maybe." But even she couldn't deny the difference. She felt stronger. Not just physically, but mentally too. The afternoon slump had vanished, replaced by a surprising burst of energy that lasted well into the evening. She found herself volunteering for school bake sales, something she'd previously avoided like the plague. "Don't sell yourself short," Maria said, handing her a water bottle. "You're crushing it. Seriously." Later that week, while waiting for Alex to finish up with Maria, Sarah found herself chatting with him about his upcoming history exam. She really knows her stuff, Mom, you know. Alex said, adjusting his backpack. Maria helped me study last week, went over the whole French Revolution with me. Sarah smiled. She seems like a pretty amazing person. Alex shrugged, a goofy grin spreading across his face. Yeah, she's cool. She even said you're cool, Mom. Said you have a really interesting mind. Sarah felt a blush creep up her neck. She said that? She asked, trying to sound nonchalant. Alex nodded, oblivious to her internal turmoil. Yeah, something about how you're really thoughtful and have a great sense of humor. I think she likes you, Mom. He grabbed his skateboard. Gotta go. See ya. Sarah stood there, dumbfounded, watching him skateboard down the driveway. Maria thought she was cool. The idea felt absurd, yet strangely, thrilling. She touched her hair self-consciously. She hadn't bothered putting on any makeup today, opting for comfort over vanity. She suddenly regretted her decision. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah found herself anticipating the training sessions with an eagerness that surprised her. It wasn't just about the physical benefits anymore. She looked forward to Maria's infectious enthusiasm, her genuine interest in Sarah's life, her easy laughter that filled the garage. She started experimenting with new recipes, eager to share them with Maria. She even bought a new workout top, a vibrant blue that made her eyes sparkle. Maybe, just maybe, she was starting to see herself the way Maria saw her. Smoothie confessions. Oh, shoot, Maria said, checking her watch, I thought I had yoga until 10. I'm so sorry, Sarah, I completely spaced. I had you scheduled for 9. Sarah, breathless after her run on the treadmill, wiped her brow. No worries, I'm flexible. I figured it was a mistake when you weren't here at 9. I just did some cardio. We can still squeeze in some weights, right? Maria clapped her hands together, her usual sunny disposition returning. Absolutely. Let's hit it. And then, smoothie confessions. She winked. My treat, as penance for the scheduling snafu. The workout was intense, Maria pushing Sarah harder than she'd ever pushed herself. Sarah surprised herself with her own strength, managing more reps than she thought possible. Afterwards, muscles screaming, they headed to the kitchen. Okay, what's your poison? Maria asked, pulling out a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. Surprise me, Sarah said, leaning against the counter, trying to catch her breath. Maria hummed, tossing in spinach, berries, banana, and a scoop of protein powder. The blender whirred, filling the kitchen with a sweet, earthy aroma. She poured 2 glasses, handing one to Sarah. So, Maria began, leaning against the counter beside Sarah, swirling the green concoction. Confessions, huh? You go first. Sarah hesitated. Okay, I secretly read cheesy romance novels. The kind with shirtless cowboys on the cover. She blushed, taking a large gulp of the smoothie. Don't judge me. Maria laughed, a warm, genuine sound. No judgment here. I binge-watch reality TV. Guilty pleasures are essential for survival. She paused, her expression softening. My turn. I'm lonely. Being a single mom and running a business is isolating. Sarah's heart went out to her. I get that. It's hard to find time for yourself, let alone a relationship. She swirled her smoothie. My confession? I feel like I'm just existing. I love Ben more than anything, but sometimes I feel like I lost myself somewhere between motherhood and carpools. Maria nodded, her gaze understanding. It's a common feeling. We pour so much into our kids, we forget to fill our own cups. She took a deep breath. Maybe we should make a pact. To do one thing each week, just for ourselves. No kids, no work, just us. Sarah looked at her, a spark of hope flickering in her eyes. I like that idea. Great. Maria grinned. First up, pottery class. I saw a sign-up sheet at the community center. Sarah laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in months. Pottery? I haven't touched clay since high school. Exactly. Maria bumped her shoulder playfully. Time to get your hands dirty. The X Factor. The chime of the doorbell shattered the afternoon's tranquility. Sarah, sprawled amidst scattered papers on the living room rug, where Leo and Mateo waged war with Plastic Ninja, groaned inwardly. An unscheduled intrusion. I'll answer it. Maria's voice drifted from the kitchen, rich with the scent of garlic and simmering sauce, a culinary symphony in progress. But before Maria could emerge, the door swung wide, propelled by youthful exuberance. Dad! Leo's joyous cry accompanied his headlong dive into the arms of a lanky, sun-kissed figure on the porch. David! A knot tightened in Sarah's gut. His arrival was a breach of an unspoken agreement. Maria paused in the kitchen doorway, a dish towel twisted in her hands, her smile momentarily eclipsed. David, hello, Sarah greeted him, striving for a casual tone she didn't feel. What brings you here? Just surprising my favorite guy, David responded, tousling Leo's hair affectionately. His gaze flickered towards Maria, a subtle assessment in his eyes. And thought I'd say hi. He offered Maria his hand. You must be Maria, she filled in, the handshake brief, her skin cool to the touch. A palpable tension hung in the air, thick and heavy. Sarah felt a flush of guilt, like a kid caught red-handed. David knew nothing of Maria. It wasn't that she sought his approval, but keeping it quiet felt deceitful, now laid bare under the harsh glow of the porch light. Right, well, I should get back to it, Maria murmured, retreating. Dinner prep calls. It was nice meeting you, David. She melted back into the kitchen, the ensuing clatter of cookware a sudden, discordant note. David lingered for what felt like an eternity, entertaining Leo with tales of his new apartment and his latest entrepreneurial pursuit. Sarah remained rooted to the sofa's edge, feeling increasingly sidelined. Maria stayed sequestered in the kitchen, the sounds of her labor muted, her presence a spectral echo in the house. Later, after David's departure and Leo's eventual slumber, Sarah discovered Maria attacking the already gleaming stovetop with renewed vigor. I'm really sorry about all that, Sarah's voice trembled slightly. Maria simply shrugged, avoiding her gaze. It's fine. Unexpected, that's all. The atmosphere shifted palpably in the following days. Maria still visited, still guided Sarah, but the carefree laughter and comfortable companionship had vanished. A shadow of preoccupation clouded Maria's face. What once had been effortless banter now seemed forced, strained. Sarah felt a creeping unease, a chilling draft invading their sanctuary. She yearned for Maria's familiar warmth, her unwavering faith. She missed the way Maria used to look at her, as if she were the sun and the moon combined. Now, Maria's eyes rarely met hers at all. Why aren't you smiling? The faint aroma of lavender softener clung to Billy as he nestled against Sarah, a comforting, compact presence at her side. Supposed to be immersed in spelling drills, his attention instead locked onto Maria, diligently sanitizing the weight machines. Usually, the gym resonated with Maria's upbeat playlists and her radiant smile, but a hush hung in the air today, broken only by the faint hiss of the disinfectant spray. Mom. Billy's query was muffled against her cardigan. Why the long face on Maria? Sarah's pulse quickened. Who, honey? She parried, pretending not to understand, though she knew precisely who he meant. Maria. She's not smiling nearly as much. A small frown etched itself onto his brow. Sarah glanced at Maria. The boy was right. The usual effervescence had vanished. Her movements were precise, but devoid of their customary buoyant energy. A pang of guilt resonated within Sarah. Deep down, she understood she was the catalyst. She'd been withdrawing, attempting to suppress the unexpected, potent emotions that had burgeoned within her. Fear of jeopardizing their bond, of fostering awkwardness, had inadvertently carved a space between them. "Maybe she's just tired, sweetie," Sarah offered, her voice sounding flimsy even to herself. Billy remained unconvinced. Endowed with a keen perception, he possessed an innate talent for interpreting people. "She still smiles even when she's tired," he countered, "it is just not the same kind of smile." His words resonated, heavy with unspoken truth. Sarah sighed, raking her fingers through her hair. Billy's innocent observation had compelled her to confront the reality she had been frantically evading. Pretense was no longer an option. Secrecy was unsustainable. Maria deserved candor, as did she. "You're right, Billy," she confessed, her voice a mere breath. I think I need to speak with Maria." The admission felt like shedding a burden, even without knowing what she intended to say. The knot of anxiety in her stomach intensified, yet beneath it, a fragile spark of hope flickered. Perhaps, just perhaps, honesty was the sole path forward. Confessions and hesitations. The artificial lemon tang battled the scent of Sarah's rising anxiety. She worried the edge of her sweater, the silence between them a palpable force. Maria, fresh from cool-down exercises, possessed a radiant glow, a dewy sheen highlighting the sculpted lines of her muscles. Sarah's resolve felt fragile, threatening to shatter before she could speak. "Maria," she managed, her voice barely audible. "I need to tell you something." Maria paused, a crease forming between her brows. "Is everything all right, Sarah? You seem unlike yourself." Sarah inhaled deeply, the citrusy aroma doing little to soothe her frantic pulse. "All right isn't the word. I've developed feelings for you, Maria. Intense ones. They've been growing, I suppose, ever since you started training me. And I know it's probably completely out of line and I'm jeopardizing everything, but I couldn't keep it in." She squeezed her eyes shut, steeling herself for rejection. The ensuing quiet was a heavy blanket. Sarah finally risked a glance, unable to decipher Maria's expression. "Sarah." Maria began, then hesitated, pushing damp strands from her forehead. I feel something for you too." Sarah's breath caught. A wave of relief, almost debilitating in its intensity, washed over her. "You do?" Maria nodded, her gaze fixed on the floor. "But it's complicated, Sarah. Incredibly so. Because of Billy and Alex?" Sarah ventured, the euphoria already beginning to dissipate. Maria looked up, her eyes reflecting a mix of yearning and trepidation. "Yes. They're inseparable. What if this, whatever this is, destroys that? What if it generates unbearable tension for them, for all of us? What if it collapses, leaving us all to pick up the pieces?" Sarah closed the distance between them, gently taking Maria's hand. Her skin was warm, textured with the evidence of hard work, a grounding contrast to Sarah's own damp palm. "I understand your worries. I've considered all of that. But I also believe, maybe, just maybe, we could navigate it. Billy and Alex are adaptable. And I don't know, Maria, I haven't felt this vital in years. Isn't that worth the gamble?" Maria squeezed her hand in return, her eyes locking onto Sarah's. "God, I don't know. It terrifies me. Yet, the prospect of ignoring this possibility terrifies me even more." A fragile smile flickered across her lips. "Perhaps we could proceed slowly. See how we feel." Sarah mirrored the smile, a genuine, hopeful expression illuminating her face. "Slow sounds perfect. The boy's blessing." Sarah twisted a strand of her hair, the living room suddenly feeling smaller with Billy and Alex staring at them expectantly. Maria, ever the pragmatist, took the lead. "Okay, so, Sarah and we've been spending a lot of time together," Maria began, her voice unusually tentative. And we've realized that we enjoy each other's company. Billy, who had been bouncing his leg nervously, stilled. Alex, ever the observant one, raised an eyebrow but remained silent. Sarah jumped in, needing to get it over with. What Maria's saying is, we think we might want to try dating. The word felt foreign and clumsy on her tongue. A beat of silence hung in the air, thick with unspoken questions. Then, Billy exploded. Whoa! Seriously? That's awesome. He shot out of his chair, nearly tripping over the coffee table. Like, for real dating. Holding hands and stuff. Alex, less demonstrative but equally enthusiastic, nodded. Yeah, that's actually really cool. We thought something might be up. Sarah's jaw dropped. She had braced herself for awkwardness, discomfort, maybe even outright disapproval. This was not what she expected. You're okay with it? Okay with it? We're stoked. Billy exclaimed, grabbing a throw pillow and squeezing it. You guys are both, like, amazing. And you're both always complaining about being lonely. He shot a look at Alex, who mirrored his grin. It's perfect. Maria chuckled, relief washing over her. Well, that's a relief to hear. Alex stood and held out his hand, first to Sarah, then to Maria. We're happy for you. Just promise us you won't get all mushy and gross when we're around. Sarah laughed, shaking his hand. No promises. But we'll try to keep the PDA to a minimum. So, Billy said, flopping back onto the couch, a thoughtful expression on his face. What's the plan? Dinner dates? Romantic walks on the beach? Are you going to make Sarah do burpees on your first date, Maria? Maria playfully shoved Billy's shoulder. Don't be ridiculous. Although, maybe a light jog. Sarah groaned. Please, no burpees. At least not on the first date. They all laughed, the tension completely diffused. So, Sarah said, meeting Maria's gaze, a shy smile playing on her lips. I guess we're doing this then. We're giving it a try. Maria squeezed Sarah's hand. We're giving it a try. The words felt right, solid, promising. A new chapter, not just in their lives, but in the lives of those closest to them, was beginning.